In 2007, the first episode of a nerdy new web series was published on YouTube. Written and created by a female gamer who wanted to make a show about her experiences playing online video games. The show took off and became a hit on YouTube, winning a variety of awards and spanning 6 seasons, and spawned a network that originated other highly successful nerdy YouTube video formats. Welcome to Rewind Time, this episode, The Guild, and Felicia Day.
Yeah, it's rewind time.
Welcome to Rewind Time, a podcast about YouTube history and the creators who built the platform into the juggernaut it is today. I'm here with YouTuber Lucy Livin.
Hello.
I am your other host, Max, and per our intro today, we are going to be talking all things Felicia Day, The Guild, Geek and Sundry.
Mm-hmm.
Lucy, did you know much about Felicia Day before we sat down to research this episode?
I knew a bit. I have been aware of Felicia Day since I have been in middle school. I did get slightly confused about her, like who she was in my brain, because I feel like I became aware of her through, this is really weirdly specific, a merch company, like a sort of like a girly pop hot topic nerd apparel situation. So I thought she owned that company, but she didn't. But
Okay.
she was like a frequent collaborator with them or something.
Yep.
But basically I knew that Felicia Day was like nerd queen TM.
Yeah, nerd girls, graphic t-shirts with nerd slogans.
Yeah.
Very much like a millennial gamer aesthetic.
Yes, but I did know about her wider body of work, which we'll discuss in a moment. But how about you? Did you know who Felicia Day was, or did you know what the Guild was?
I knew what the Guild was, and I correctly predicted, because I made a note to write down when you asked me who Felicia Day was. I was like, she is an actress, and the Guild is a web series about World of Warcraft. It's actually about a non-brand specific MMO, which is obviously a stand-in for World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
But I said she was like a video game actress, a TV show actress. And then this is actually a great pull. I was like, she is definitely involved in Dragon Age, Mass Effect, like PS3 era games. And I said she was probably doing like adult animation voice acting.
Yeah.
The latter one, not super accurate, but the Dragon Age pull is bang on because she very famously is in a web series for Dragon Age.
Yeah.
So kind of my most accurate prediction so far.
Yeah.
I do think it's just because she is an actress, so she has more crossover with fields that
well, you
I
were just
know
like,
some
okay,
stuff about.
I mean, I'm not going to take away the credit for you guessing right, but you were like, you did know what the Guild was, and so obviously you were like, okay, the person who like starred in or created the Guild, you probably had some context clues there, but still, claps for you. You did guess pretty accurately for this one. So
Felicia Day. So she is one of disgraced director, showrunner Joss Whedon's girlies. And for those of you that don't know, Joss Whedon is the showrunner of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and went on to run some other like cult 2000s TV hits all around sort of the CW
Firefly?
verse. Yes, Firefly.
I haven't seen that.
Neither have I. Everyone just loves to be like, wow, it's so sad it was cancelled.
I went into a Wikipedia hole because of this episode, and I found out about this TV show called Dollhouse.
Yes, the girlies love Dollhouse.
One season. I tried to read the Wikipedia plot summary, but it had so many proper nouns in it that I was like, well, this is just nonsensical.
Yeah, Joss Whedon is now someone given
Did he do Avengers?
He did direct the first and second Avengers film.
Wow.
And he really came up on like I write like strong female characters type of vibe and a classic like millennial feminist man where he's like, it's not hard to write women. You just have to like understand that they're people type of guy.
Yeah, Black Widow famously,
Bro, you don't understand. She's barren, bro. She can't
was that
have
him
kids.
though? It wasn't 3 and 4. Was that?
No. So that's in, you're thinking of Avengers 2. That's the plot.
I don't think
Yeah.
I think I've only seen 1 or 2 of the 4.
Okay.
I'm going to be real.
From memory, I've only seen them all.
I haven't
once.
seen the one where Bruce is like, "Brr," and she's like, it's me.
What?
I didn't describe that well at all. Where like the Hulk is like, "Meh," and she's like, No.
Oh, that's number 2. Yeah, the plot line is like,
Where's the one where
I'm the Hulk, I'm so messed up. And she's like, well, I'm infertile. I'm so messed up as well.
She's like, I'm also a monster. Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
They try and do a parallel of her being a monster because she can't
Yeah.
conceive. Wow.
Anyway, Joss Whedon basically big like my strong female characters are all ultimately discredited because like all the women he worked with came out and were like, yeah, he was abusive. So he's out of Hollywood, but his
What are we gonna do?
his influence obviously still felt. So Felicia Day, that is, was a supporting character in Buffy, in other sort of TV roles throughout the 2000s.
I think she's most famous for being in Supernatural and for being
Yes.
the only, I think, like prominent or confirmed LGBT character in Supernatural, which if anyone was on Tumblr in like the 2010s.
Well, you need to tell the people what Supernatural is.
Oh.
Because, most normal adjusted people are not aware of this show.
That's so mean. No, unfortunately, and I say this is all empathy and peace and love in the world because I was someone who was on Tumblr and was like a Sherlock fan, so I have no right to talk. But I will say, Supernatural fans, are you guys okay? Are you guys all right? Supernatural is a
Aren't they
show
fine?
about Sam and Dean Winchester, and they are like ghost demon hunters, ghost. I don't actually.
We've watched the pilot.
We watched the
Come on.
pilot, yeah. But in the pilot's crazy. There's someone like on fire in the ceiling of a house.
They're two brothers.
They're brothers and they're
hunt
not-
ghoulies.
and then it's straight.
and have adventures,
Yeah. And
I bet there is a big crossover between listeners of this podcast and fans of Supernatural.
I mean, it was extremely popular. Like, because as I said, I was a fan of Sherlock, which if you were on Tumblr, Super Wholock. Do you know what that is?
I imagine it's just a crossover fan fiction of the two properties.
No, there's 3.
Super Who? Oh, it's Sherlock as well.
Sherlock,
Yeah.
Supernatural, and Doctor Who.
Yeah. Okay.
I only liked one of those shows, so sorry about that. But the show is famous for like having them be straight and then like kind of people I mean, guys, you have to forgive me. I haven't seen the show, but I obviously saw all of you talking about it on Tumblr. They're like queer bait because there's Castiel, the angel character, and then I think people think he is gay with Jensen Ackles.
Wow, crazy. Look, Supernatural, ran for 15 seasons.
But
Felicia was on it.
her character was a lesbian in the show, and there's like the only, I think, from
Okay.
what I was reading, the only like
I'm
queer
sure
character.
people will correct you on this.
Yeah,
given their love
please
of Supernatural.
do.
lore.
I think I had a pretty good guess, or at least an overview. But anyway, so I think that's what she's known for, most known for to fans / the Supernatural fandom is quite rabid. I say that with love.
Yeah, so Felicia Day, has a recurring role in Supernatural, show that ran for 15 seasons.
All the best TV shows run for over a decade.
Yes, but before, the Supernatural, actually, having said that, it ran for so long, it sort of captures her whole career. But what we're talking about today is her role and sort of role as head writer of the web series The Guild.
Creator and writer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So The Guild is a web series much akin to Lonely Girl 15, a series that we've covered earlier in this podcast.
I mean, it's similar in that it's a TV show that's published on YouTube.
Yeah, but it's not like
It's
traditional
not a
show.
traditional 20-minute with like spots for ad breaks.
No, it's like 4 minutes long.
Yeah.
And it's like part of that is naturally hard to publish long videos on YouTube at this point, and also expensive to create long episodes.
Yes.
So this was originally something that Felicia wanted to pitch as like a TV show pilot, but from the Wikipedia and other, discussion at the time, she was basically told, your audience are probably going to respond more positively to a web series, which makes a lot of sense.
because it's about people who play online video games.
Correct.
They are online. Yeah.
They're not people that watch a lot of TV, This is not the Big Bang Theory, which the commenters on the Guild YouTube episodes love to remind you.
Yeah, every single episode of The Guild, the comments are just like, this is the real Big Bang Theory, or like, real fans know this is
This is real nerd
this
stuff.
is real Bazinga.
I was participating in the real Big Bang Theory discourse in the turn of the 2010s.
You were?
I wasn't like commenting for either side, but I was aware of it because I was just on the AV club a lot. Guys, there's it's not something wrong with your audio this week. I just have a cold like 90% of Sydney at the moment, but you know, what can I say? It's been raining like 15 years here, so
Baby.
but yeah, I was on the AV club a lot. And the people that are very you know, passionate commenters on the AV Club really hated The Big Bang Theory. And the common refrain was that it was blackface for nerds, which is naturally incredibly insensitive.
That's an insane
But what they were getting at is that it was sort of like an exaggerated portrayal that was insensitive to real nerds.
Real nerds, TM.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the guild, in its sort of representation of true nerd culture, is where these nerds are like, well, no, this actually is what nerddom is like. But to give you guys some overview, the guild is about a guild, which is sort of what a cohort of players in an MMO or other online game is commonly referred to. And so sort of the setup is that you see, at least in the beginning, all of our guild members in their like respective computer rooms, playing the MMO, talking over the internet. And then as the series develops, you naturally have the people come to, you know, be present in the same space in real life and go on various hijinks and adventures.
Yeah.
They're all like referring to, you know, nerd culture concepts familiar to people that are like playing MMOs, like talking about raiding, things like that. Very much like nerd lingo, as opposed to something like The Big Bang Theory, where it's, you know, it's meant for an audience of like 40-something million middle Americans.
It's made for a general audience, and then it's like, even if you don't know what like nerdy properties they're referencing, you can still understand the jokes. The jokes are more to be like, haha, they're so nerdy, as opposed to, oh, I understand this because like I play this thing, or I get this thing. I mean, I know. Did you like The Big Bang Theory when it was airing, as an aside? No. I had a period where I thought it was good, but I was like, I believe 13, and then I you know, my frontal cortex developed.
That's look.
No, it's a fun. It's like, no, the reason why I thought it reminded me of Community was because of the makeup of the cast.
Oh,
you know what I mean? It's like we have your Jeff, which is Felicia, I suppose. She's the main no?
I get where you're coming from a diversity of ages, races, and, you know, perspectives.
Yeah. You have your mum character, like your Shirley.
Yeah.
You have your like random old guy character. Not random old guy. It's like a mix, and there's like some kind of like flirtations, relationship dynamics. Like, it reminded me of Community in that specific sense.
I think that there's a thing, like, obviously network television and media generally, especially in America, there has been a big push for a diversity of perspectives, and this is something where you see that applied to like nerd culture, which is pretty novel because, guys, I don't know if you've been to any conventions. A lot of white guys, but like nerd culture, I think post, you know, things like the Guild, like, and you've been to conventions and cosplayed.
Have you?
No.
Yeah, I've been.
Sorry, guys. No, I don't mean to snark, but no,
Would you come to a convention with me if I wanted to go to a convention and cosplay?
Yeah, absolutely not.
Oh,
I would if you invited me and were like, I need someone to like chauffeur me, but the concept of the convention,
I need someone to safeguard me.
Where it's like celebrity meet and greets, and you pay and you line up, and it's the aspects of fandom that I find the least interesting.
I will admit, I've been to conventions, but I mostly went with friends, and we were as like a cosplay group.
Yeah.
So that's why I went, and that was fun. And just kind of like hanging out with your friends. Sometimes there was like a cute the artist alley where they had like cute art posters and keychains and stuff. I like that. Fun fact: I went to a convention and George R.R. Martin was there, and he did all of his signings for free. But I didn't know who that man was.
Obviously, very cool. Yeah,
I didn't know who that man was. I was like, wow, long line for this man sitting down with a hat.
Tips fedora.
Tips fedora. Anyway, but yeah, and I also want to point out that Felicia Day created the show, but was like the primary writer on the show and the star, and I think there's not that many shows. Again, like Big Bang Theory, you have your kind of cast of mostly men plus Penny, and then the other one's girlfriend, Bernadette.
Sure.
And then Sheldon's eventual girlfriend, me outing myself as having seen quite a bit of Big Bang Theory. It's the most popular show in America. It was. Anyway, but in those TV shows, a lot of the time, they're kind of like the accessories to your male cast who are like the real nerds. And like, obviously, there's a lot of fun being poked at Penny for like being a typical girl. So then, you know, in the guild, we have Felicia as kind of like, a capital N nerd with, you know, her guild depicted. And it's not seen as, I mean, to be fair, they are kind of portraying her as a bit of a like person who's trying to sort of figure out what her life is, because the pilot episode does have her on a call with her therapist as they're discussing her addiction to gaming, very likely as a mechanism for her avoiding, you know, other elements of her life. But like it's a different type of portrayal than we normally see. And maybe there's a reason why it didn't go more mainstream, but it clearly found a massive audience online. It had like, I think the pilot episode has like 30-something million views.
Yes. The show goes on to be produced in partnership with Microsoft. They've launched their like Xbox Live service, which is the like the online multiplayer and like content delivery mechanism for Xbox users, and they make episodes of the Guild available on there, basically till the end of the run of the show when they take it back and continue doing it independently. But I think there's something you touched on there where we have like Felicia as the lead of this show. It's quite rare to have a like female perspective in video games in the 2000s. Like all games media is like overwhelmingly like white guys, like the game developers, the people on stage at E3, they're white guys as well. So yeah, it's like super novel to have like a woman be the face of like something like this in nerd culture. And we've talked about, say, like in the Philly D episode, that there are some very unpleasant aspects of being like a woman in this sort of area of the internet around this time. Yeah,
I think we talked about this in our I Justine episode as well. And forgive me if I am being a little sappy, but I think what probably drew me to Felicia when I was literally like a middle schooler, like I've known about her for a long time, was that like she is, you know, a genuine nerd. And I feel it's interesting with that kind of label because, you know, as we talked about with I Justine, if you are like a conventionally attractive woman who has like a genuine interest in video games or any type of like nerdy subculture, you will be put under intense scrutiny. And people will question, well, how much do you actually like it? Like, you know, people don't do that to other men within subcultures. And I don't know if we talked about this, but you know, someone has like done that to me at a convention.
Oh, of course.
Like,
well,
as I was dressed as a character, I remember this happening. Like they were like, do you even like My Little Pony? That's right. I was dressed up as a My Little Pony character.
And literally, it's not like you were something that skews like overwhelmingly male.
Well,
like aren't you the ideal demographic for My Little Pony?
Probably not the reboot. No? Well, no. What? Yeah. No. I was a teenage girl.
Yeah.
Like I was, I think 15 or 16. And it was an incredibly popular show on social media. And it's a show about female friendships.
Yeah.
And like it's cute. And it has like, the show's actually really good in my opinion. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is a really competently made show. Shout out to Lauren Faust, the creator. We love you. But yeah, I had people being like, well, do you actually like watch the show? And I'm like, okay, you're an adult man. So like kind of weird of you to be like that. Although that was like the main, you know about bronies, the main, there was kind of like this whole thing. There's actually a documentary about it, the brony documentary.
Aren't they just like a vocal minority though?
No, well,
like, isn't it still a show for kids and teens?
It was airing on like a network, like cable TV, for children.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I've experienced that like multiple times as part of fandoms I've been in. So there's something nice about having like a Felicia Day kind of, you know, being popular and being like, yeah, I do actually like these things, obviously, because I wrote the show or like whatever. But it does make me concerned. Spoiler alert, guys, Felicia Day was the subject of targeted criticism around Gamergate and probably just like anything, probably just generally all the time, if we're being real. But yeah, we won't go too far into it, but she has talked about the fact that during Gamergate, she was like, hey, maybe let's like not harass people. And then people were like, you're next. So I always feel empathetic towards creators like Felicia Day or iJustine, who I think are really unfairly subject to scrutiny from losers.
Yeah, it's just like if you're working as an actress, you know, you have the option to be like, well, I can just do supporting roles and have a career as a working actress and basically face zero targeted harassment for the most part, or I can be someone who attempts to take sort of a public role in like a niche that I'm really passionate about, but I also in exchange for that have to deal with like, you know, literal like death threats and like insane people online harassing me for years. She
has talked about and we're sort of straying a little bit away from like her main YouTube content here, but I think it's interesting. But she's done a couple of Reddit AMAs, and in one of them people were asking her like, oh, what roles have you turned down? Like, have you been asked to be on shows? And she actually was saying, oh, I actually have been offered quite a few roles on more like traditional, like she's probably been offered a role in like Law and Order. You know, when you look at her Wikipedia page, she was in quite a few different like TV shows and movies and like smaller roles. And then she got, I would say, more of a breakout role in Supernatural was probably her most like popular role. She could have easily segued into doing more mainstream. Like she could have been like in a New Girl type of thing. Do you know what I mean? But like,
well, yeah, maybe.
I'm just saying, no, but I'm just saying like that would have been like, if you want to be like a working actor, actress, once you have like break into the industry, you have the connections, people like you're a good actress. Like she's very charming. She's a great.
Well, she may have auditioned for those roles. We don't know. It's just tough to say. Like acting's like a pyramid. Everyone wants to be the lead. There are much more supporters, you know.
In seeing that she has mentioned like on Reddit and through other things that she has been offered more like mainstream or like general roles and turned them down in favor of doing genre, I think it really shows that she's actually really passionate about it. Not that anyone would doubt that, except that obviously a bunch of random men do. So
let's bring it back to just our thoughts on the guild. You know, probably most prominent online acting / content role.
Won a bunch of awards, actually.
Yes. Well, the web series were obviously, they had a sort of a boom and bust, which we'll talk about. But The Guild is, I think, one of the few web series that we would like have an awareness of as non-web series consumers. But the partnership with Microsoft, the awards that it won, like the presence of Felicia, who was like a somewhat known actor at that point, makes it a pretty sort of, I think, interesting like forerunner for what we get with like Netflix and streaming television generally, because like there's a genre distinction people make between like a web series and streaming television, which is useful because like Stranger Things isn't a web series.
No.
But yeah, the idea that you can like watch TV on the computer is pretty novel at the time and is now like the default way if you consider like streaming apps and all of the big streamers. Like that's just the way people watch television.
Yeah. And you can see the evolution through the show. In like the earlier episodes are only 3 to 4 minutes long, and then in the final season we're getting full production. Like the production really steps up. You're getting like CGI scenes of the people like playing their characters inside the video game, whereas previously before they were just like depicted through clearly them just playing World of Warcraft with their characters on the screen.
Yep.
And we're getting lots of scenes outside rather than just like in the set of like a bedroom. They're all like outside doing things together. And the length of the episodes is closer to like your typical 20-something minute sitcom episode.
Yeah, and they start getting guest stars, like a bunch of famous people cameo.
Yeah, iJustine.
YouTubers like iJustine are present. Tick her off on your Rewind Time bingo card. But before we move on from the Guild, they do participate in, one of our favorite YouTube tropes of the late 2000s, early 2010s, which is they produce some original music videos.
Oh my gosh, what?
One which is pretty catchy, which is "Do You Want to Date My Avatar?"
Yeah.
You've been singing that one around the house.
Do you wanna date my avatar?
And it has the whole cast in their outfits, but it's Felicia is like the clear lead here. She's singing the song, and it's pretty. It's kind of a interesting role for her because we've previously obviously she she's an actress. She's quite conventionally attractive, but she plays like a quite nerdy character.
Yeah.
But here we have her doing like main pop girl, sort of sexy.
It's doing like a play on Britney Spears, and it's tongue in cheek because the entire song is like, the avatars we make in our video games are always like way hotter than who we are in real life.
Yeah.
And so do you want to play my avatar? Lots of like euphemisms using video game terminology. The comments on this video were also very like, this song is a banger, or like, I remember listening to this, like, as a
Production
fan.
value is like very high.
It's really good. I
think there's a real elephant in this one. Oh no, sorry, in the next one.
in the
Yeah.
yeah,
But they spend some money on these.
yeah. So this one, it's really good. It's kind of a banger.
And it's an original song. It's not a parody, which
No.
I always appreciate.
We kind of talk about on the show because some of the music videos we talk about are like comedy songs. Some of them are like real, genuine plays at music. Your Shane Dawson, Super Love. It's not
So good. Vacation
Everyone-
is an iconic. I actually, when I was editing those shorts, I was just singing the chorus to Vacation.
Vacation.
It's just so catchy.
Yeah, it literally sounds like One Direction. It's actually insane. But yeah, Do You Want to Date My Avatar is a banger. And also I want to mention Felicia is singing this. She's a really great singer. And a lot of people would probably know her from, and actually I think this is the main work that I have seen of Felicia's is Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, which I considered us watching for this episode, but it wasn't actually released on YouTube. It was released on like a website.
iTunes, basically. You just buy it. Yeah.
So Max hasn't seen Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog.
Another Joss production.
And Neil Patrick Harris, who we like, and Nathan Fillion,
They're all people in the Joss verse.
the Joss verse.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do like Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog because I'm a musical theatre girly, so it's kind of very much that. But Felicia's really known for that, which was, I think, in 2008. So
It was in the writer's strike, actually.
Oh.
That's why they all got together to do it, because no one had any work.
Did you see about that on the AV Club forums?
No, I just knew about it. Oh, well, obviously, yeah, it was as one of the treasured texts for the sort of Joss people on the forum. So that's how I know about it. But I've never watched it because, I don't really gel with like the Joss school of
Fast talking,
TV.
snarky.
Oh, it's very millennial, guys. Like, sorry, but
I mean,
it's more like the characters, regardless of like who they are, what their backgrounds are, they just talk like they're doing their cool they're doing their cool quips, they're doing their little references to pop culture. That just happened type of vibe, that's so played out now.
it's so played out now, but I think at the time, like when Avengers first came out, I was like, wow, this movie's pretty good.
Yeah,
But
okay.
now, I feel like, again, as we've seen They Fly now, like that has all kind of
Yeah.
gotten a bit tiresome. But like watching the first episode of Buffy, I was like, I get why this was popular. Also, Buffy is slay, but that's also mostly just because I really like Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah. It's just
she also plays Daphne in Scooby-Doo, and I love her.
like on a serious note, I think that it's like his sort of it's like an ironic detachment of the characters from like the emotional stakes of scenes they're in has really had a negative effect, and has seen things like Star Wars, which I used to have quite an affinity for, has been like Jossified. You mentioned They Fly now.
Yeah, They Fly now.
I can't really forgive that. Like, kind of sucks.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's just you did the Roblox smirky face as a reference. Like, think of the smirking emoji, and that's like the sentiment of the characters. And I don't want everything to just be like tongue in cheek or like winking to the audience.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Although I do think like And that's why I kind of am like, I'm interested to see more of Buffy, because to my understanding, Buffy does actually have quite some peaks and valleys in terms of like emotional moments. But yeah, I get what you mean. Although I don't know if we can blame Joss Whedon for a lot of things, being a creep. But we can't totally blame him for everyone deciding to like crib his writing style and be like, this is really cool.
And he is better at it than obviously many other people
who just try and do the Anyway, back to the topic at hand. I guess this episode's sort of stealthily becoming like a Joss Whedon.
Well, look, Felicia has a lot of, film and television links, more so than the YouTubers like we cover traditionally on this channel, who are mostly YouTubers. She sort of has a foot in both worlds.
Hey, the Smosh movie is a really well regarded piece
I'm sure
of
it
cinema.
is. You want to talk about, though, before we move on from the Guild, Game On, a Bollywood themed gamers anthem.
This is certainly a music video. As you mentioned, I do think there's an elephant. Do you think it's real or animated? I feel like the time period this was made and the budget they had, I don't think it could not be a real elephant. Like, I think it would have been more... It looks too good.
It's cheaper to get a real elephant.
It's cheaper to get a real elephant than to CGI a good elephant. So that's insane.
And I imagine they're shooting in LA, so they have the
access
show
to
elephants. Yeah. Those guys don't work 365 days of the year.
What did you think of Game On?
I just kind of... It's like all of these, I'm like, wow, it's cool that this exists. You guys really were like, what are we going to do to promote this season? Let's just do a Bollywood version of, let's do a Bollywood song. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Slumdog Millionaire. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, Jai Ho.
Yeah, it's a few, sort of a few years later, but I thought it was completely fine. I enjoyed it.
It's good. It's another solid entry. I don't think it has quite the same, mainstream pop appeal as Do You Want to Date My Avatar, because obviously Bollywood, a bit more of a genre type of music, whereas Do You Want to Date My Avatar, we're just going for mainstream pop vibes.
Yeah, but these are successful in terms of they're some of the most viewed videos on the channel.
Yeah, oh totally, because you could share this and not know anything about the Guild but still enjoy the nerdy gamer references. The Game On definitely more ambitious in terms of production. There's a full team of dancers doing Bollywood choreography. I also really appreciate that Felicia Day is really giving her Bollywood impression in this with her vocal affects and the dancing and the kind of melodrama of playing into the Bollywood music video tropes. Have you seen much Bollywood stuff?
Well, I saw Bethany Moda do a Bollywood dance at YouTube Live 2013, I want to say. So yeah, I've seen a fair bit.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Okay, so the Guild sort of comes to, a natural end, although there is going to be a Kickstarter for a reunion movie later this year. Yeah. Felicia was talking about that recently. So
I like how we say it we've just been hanging out with Felicia. We're like, oh yeah, Felicia said that at dinner last week.
Well, she mentioned it casually. Yeah. But as the Guild, is wrapping up, they run for 6 seasons. There is a new initiative from Felicia, which is the Geek and Sundry YouTube channel, which she launches with Kim, Evie, and Sherry Bryant. So shout out to those two. But this is part of the YouTube Originals initiative that they made a big song and dance about, where they said they were putting in $100 million to produce original content for YouTube. Mm-hmm. And we've spoken about this in our Philip DeFranco episode, because he got a chunk of that money to do original news content. Shout out enemy of the show, Philly D. But so this show, this channel, Geek and Sundry, is all about obviously geekdom and sort of platforming nerd culture.
Sorry, I don't think I've ever heard you say geekdom.
I know it's the first for everything, but there are 2 sort of major shows that this channel is a home for. And the first one is TableTop, which is a board game playthrough hosted by Will Wheaton. Will Wheaton is an actor, or former actor, now host. You probably most notable, he's the nerd in Stand By Me, or he has a role in Star Trek The Next Generation that the fans really hate. But he now is just more known as the sort of the face of nerddom sort of the millennial nerd king.
Oh.
And for
Anyway. Isn't
yes,
he the enemy in The Big Bang Theory?
he does play himself in The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, and like Sheldon hates him.
Yeah, because he's like Sheldon. I imagine is like I'm the bigger nerd.
Because who's that character in Seinfeld that they hate?
Newman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like the Newman of The Big Bang Theory, where they're like
Interesting.
Wheaton.
Yeah, I think that's more just because he's king nerd.
Okay.
But tabletop, yeah. So basically, the format is I sit down with celebrity or less famous guests, and we play through a board game, and I explain the rules. And the board games are not like it's not Monopoly. Like these are Euro board games, so they're a bit more complex than
Carcassonne.
Yeah, exactly. The
Catan.
average. Like they're not playing Uno. But the way they present this is pretty cool. Like they put a lot of effort into explaining the rules of the game through the guys playing it, but also
they do some good visuals.
Yeah, the
and
visuals
graphics.
on screen, things like that. And what do you think of tabletop?
So, tabletop, we watched like a few episodes. I don't mind it, but I've actually seen quite a few episodes of the Polygon version of this because I think, and I could be wrong, I feel like this did spawn this genre of like video online or like on YouTube at the very least.
Definitely, we'll say,
it.
we'll give it the popularization.
I'm sure someone else has done like a version of this is what this board game is. I'm explaining it, blah, 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 like how to play or something. But this specific version of like playing board games with friends, the show, right? So I really like the Polygon version of it. And I've watched a few of those episodes and like have it on in the background because I think it's a really good, it's like a podcasty type vibe. And I like the Polygon one more, mostly because it's like more modern, up to date, maybe less millennial core.
Oh, I think very still millennial, but it's
a different flavor of millennial, more similar to our like Patrick Klepek and some of the video game. Shout out
Polygon actually RIP. They basically got sold, fired everyone. So
I think that's the one I'm talking about. It used to have Brian David Gilbert and some other like video game journos who I quite liked. So I liked that iteration of essentially the same format. So long story short, I'm not a huge fan of tabletop, but like what it's done, I can't be like, oh, they didn't just immediately be like, well, let's do our own version of tabletop with Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
But Will Wheaton's not there.
We watched, so specifically this episode where it was, so originally you saw a John H in one of the thumbnail and title previews, and you were like, John Han on tabletop, and we clicked and it was John Heder, a different guy. But then scrolling through, Rich Summer, who plays Harry in Mad Men, appeared on this show.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we got to watch this Mad Men episode. And he's one of the, the 3 celebrity guests. And Will Wheaton is there, of course. He is wearing a Bazinga t-shirt.
So diabolical.
It's interesting people rally against Big Bang Theory for not representing, nerddom. But the king nerd, Will Wheaton, is cashing the check to be on the show and repping the Bazinga shirt.
It's actually so diabolically evil. Bazinga.
So,
do you remember the Bazinga meme from like 2018 or something?
That's what Sheldon says, right? Bazinga.
No, but like when it got like memeified, where then like edgelords were doing Bazinga with like the glowing eyes.
I don't know about this.
Okay.
I do know about ironically saying Bazinga.
Yeah, it's actually, we should bring that back. It's still funny. Bazinga.
Honestly, when I was watching that first season of Big Bang Theory, you didn't like it, but I kind of kept persisting being like, it's not ironic
this
though. Sitcom. No, but it's like we don't have shows like that anymore.
No, but they're being like openly misogynistic.
Nerds are openly misogynistic.
Yeah, I know,
bro.
but it's not being like ironic. They're being like, it's funny because we should hate Penny because she sucks. Like the show's not trying to be like critical of like Leonard and the guy who looks like one of the Beatles.
It's a show called Spaced, starring Simon Pegg.
What?
From like 2000s, which Edgar Wright directed before he became a movie director. Which is coming back to me now because that's very much like what some people would describe the Big Bang Theory as, but it's a natural show which I think is very in touch with like 90s nerd touchstones like Star Wars and things. So shout out to Spaced. Should have subscribed to it.
What?
But back to tabletop. So I think
nerd.
that this form of video is, and well, I might have the same things to say about Critical Role, but I think that playing a board game is a much more engaging experience than watching a board game be played.
I think here is where I think sometimes, and I say this a lot, I think you just don't get that people want Friendship Simulator.
But it's not like a podcast where you can just put it on the background.
No, you kind of need to concentrate.
Yeah, because they're explaining the rules in the game. It's like watching poker, kind of.
So you put it on while you have lunch.
Yeah, I get that.
There's background videos and there's like lunchtime videos. And this is a lunchtime video because you need to sort of pay attention.
Look, it's fair, but it's from my perspective, because they are playing different games so often, if I haven't played the game, it's like playing a board game for the first time. I'm spending all my time like trying to understand the rules. So I can't even really appreciate the nuances of the game as it's being played. So then next episode, it's a new game.
So you wish there was a series on YouTube where it's the same group of people playing the same game with multiple episodes.
Well, yeah, I think that naturally is a bit more engaging.
Okay. And that takes us to the fact that everyone, Felicia Day's company, Geek and Sundry, was the original host of Critical Role.
Yeah, Critical Role. I did not know about Critical Role. Did you know about Critical Role?
Of course I know about Critical Role.
Okay. See, we're in very different... So how did you know about Critical Role?
Critical Role, I don't know when I learned about Critical Role or like D20 or just generally like the tabletop stream / video industrial complex, but it's huge. Like, it is huge. I think they were just here. Either Critical Role or D20 were just here for like a tour, or they were doing like live shows, booked out. And it was, I think, the Opera House or no, it was the ICC in Sydney, which is, if anyone doesn't know, it's the like International Convention Centre. It's a huge theatre. It houses like a bunch of people. Wow, that was really descriptive. A bunch of people. But yeah, this idea of Dungeons and Dragons with friends. Have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons, Max?
I have not, no.
Oh, okay.
You played D&D recently,
yes,
right?
For the first time.
Yeah, how'd you find that?
I liked it. You know what, everyone? I'm a theatre kid, and so of course I would enjoy playing D&D. And I held off for ages because, I don't know, like you played as a group and I just didn't have any friends who were like, do you want to play D&D? Actually, no, that's not true. I have some friends who play in D&D. But the other thing is, like, if they already have a campaign and a group going, it's like, you don't want to, like, you know, you have to be invited.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they have to invite. And then it's also a commitment because you then need to, it's kind of like being in a club. You have to go, like, every week. And if you don't go, you kind of, like, screw up the vibe. But yeah, I played, like, a one-shot campaign, which is, like, designed to be played in, like, 3 hours, something like that. And it was fun. I would definitely play D&D again. So if anyone has a D&D group in Sydney and you want an annoying woman, let me know.
You know, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that many D&D groups need a woman. So I think you should be well placed to find someone.
No, I think a lot of women play D&D because
I think they do now, yeah.
Yeah, but D&D is, it's really fun because it's like basically improv as a game. Ironically, the way I played my first game was because I did an improv class and then some of the people there were like, do you want to join a one-shot game? And I was like, why not? I've never played. But it's really fun. I really enjoyed it. If you make a character and you basically role play as your character. So
yeah, I mean, for anyone that doesn't know, D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, is a role-playing set of rules where you have someone called a dungeon master who is the person that sort of leads the narrative of like an interactive adventure where you and the other players roll dice to simulate outcomes in typically like a fantasy adventure, but you can apply the D&D rules to all types of stuff.
It can be anything. It's so fun. It's for someone, and I should say we both have had like a board game phase, or we both enjoy playing board games. But what I really like about D&D is that like once you get the basic rules understood, it's very flexible and modular. It can kind of be whatever you want, and you can make things up and whatever. And as long as you have a good like dungeon master leading you through the game, it can be very playful and silly. It's very open-ended, I would say, but like through the mechanics of the game, it's still anyway really fun. And I so get why people like watching D20 or Critical Role because and oftentimes these people are also like celebrity, like
Well, yeah, my history with D&D
Oh, please.
is that when the previously mentioned show Community fired the showrunner Dan Harmon,
No.
he went on
No.
to start a podcast called Harmontown in about 2012. And on that podcast, at the end, after, say, the 5th episode, they got an audience member up whose name was Spencer.
Oh,
And he
yeah.
was like, I am a DM. And they started playing D&D at the end of these live shows, which was what the podcast was made from. And that podcast ran for many years. I stopped listening at some point, but they would always sort of bookend it with Dungeons and Dragons. And I quickly found myself turning the podcast off when it got to the D&D point.
Oh, really?
And-
Not because Dan Harmon is like an incredibly annoying man.
No, he's a good guy.
No,
actually.
he's not.
He's,
When we watched that documentary about him and he was so mean to his girlfriend. Sorry,
Well,
we're taking a tangent here.
Okay, I think it's more a fact that it takes strength of character to actually show flaws in a documentary like that. And I'm not obviously condoning the behavior of this guy.
Didn't in the documentary it have something about the fact that he like harassed? Wasn't that in the documentary or was that separate?
No, he got Me Too'd separately.
Oh,
but it was
awesome.
it was a soft Me Too, and he had probably the best Me Too apology. If we were to rank Me Too apologies,
That'll be next week's episode.
no, look.
Yeah, look, fair enough. He made
Let's
one
not
of your favorite.
Let's not litigate our boy.
He
all right?
made one of your favorite TV shows,
And he made
so,
Rick and Morty as well.
Did
Who
he?
the co-creator of that was actually Me Too'd.
Yeah, seems like birds of a feather vibes.
Look, it
to
seems
me.
like these nerd men are actually
generally kind
yeah,
of evil. Yeah,
exactly. What's that say?
Anyway.
But that's how I became familiar with D&D, and I have played Baldur's Gate 3, which has D&D rules.
Everyone, please clap.
Yeah, but the improvisation.
Improvisation.
The improv elements of D&D is, something that I struggle with. It's just not my cup of tea.
That just speaks to, I think, who we both are as like game players.
Yep.
Because you'll play a game and you'll be like, it's narrative time. Like we're doing the missions, and then you sat me down to play like Spider-Man, and I spent about an hour accomplishing nothing in terms of the game structure, but I invented several bits and amused myself. It's like, I don't know if you would like playing The Sims, but I love playing The Sims.
No, I don't enjoy. I need structure.
You don't like
I need
sandbox.
structure.
Yeah, I
And
don't
then
mind
the other
sandbox.
thing with the D&D is it always when I look at the summary of other people's campaigns, it just reads like the most sort of trope-filled generic fantasy schlock. Sorry, and I'm like, it's great if you're participating, much like the ball game. If you're the player, that seems sick because you have the agency. But as the consumer, when I'm putting it up against like, well, I could consume this D&D, or I could consume like fantasy literature or television, which has like a much more considered sort of author vision, I'm going to go with the latter. But I understand there's the friendship simulator element that you've mentioned, which means that like people that like the D&D in Harmontown.
Do you know who Brendan Lee Mulligan is?
Is he the new... I only know about this from looking at the stuff, but is that the guy that's coming on to be the DM?
He is going to be the
Critical
DM
Role?
for Critical Role, but he's famous for, I want to say, D20. So like a separate...
I don't know what that is.
D20, everyone please don't be mad. I think so Brendan Lee Mulligan is also famous for being on Dropout, which will cover college humor, but they're like another company who's owned by a man named Sam something. Forgot his last name. But Brendan Lee Mulligan is like famous for being a very good DM. And so it's sort of like a crossover between these two, like massive,
Yeah.
no, okay, no, never mind. Anyway, so that's like exciting. They did this big announcement. It was like a big thing on screens, and like it was an arena filled with fans, and they're like, guess who's going to be the new DM? Because normally it's Matthew Mercer, but Matthew Mercer is now going to play in the game, which everyone is like, oh, that's exciting because Matthew doesn't get to play, but people like Matthew Mercer. Anyway,
The Matthew Mercer, good point you brought it up, because Critical Role, the players are people who are also active in other sort of nerd industries, specifically a lot of voice actors for video games, like the half the Last of Us cast is there. So these are all people that I'm like familiar with and I enjoy their work. But the Critical Role series, and I know Felicia is the episode, but Geek and Sundry is a lot broader than her because these 2 shows she features on, but is not a cast member. Because Critical Role itself has, as you mentioned, is still going, has become much larger than anything Geek and Sundry did. To wrap up Geek and Sundry talk, it is eventually acquired by Legendary, the production company.
Yeah.
As part
Felicia sells.
Yes.
She's no longer involved.
Quite early into the piece. Like,
Yeah.
it's only like a year or 2 that she and the co-owners are the independent era. And so she is off doing her own stuff. Legendary put this on a streaming service called Alpha, which they run with Nerdist. You know Nerdist? Chris Hardwick. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like they are like, we're going to sell nerd content for $5 a month. This streaming service just flops like all of the gated YouTube sort of services have for the most part. You can chime in if I'm wrong, but it seems like you give the audience the free video and then you say, you thought about paying for the free video? And they go, how dare you?
I think, ironically, Dropout, who I think have D20 as part of their programming. I could be so wrong though. But Dropout, they do like basically improv content or like comedy shows. That is subscription gated and it's extremely popular.
Yeah, cool.
But they're in...
Is it a thing where they put like the free stuff on YouTube and then you pay for the extra?
They
or is
do
it all
like
gated?
clips and like edits, but if you want to watch like full shows, or sometimes they'll do like the first episode of a show of the season on YouTube. But I've gotten a lot of value out of those free clips, and actually I think my brother's friend or boyfriend has a subscription, and he was telling me it's really good. He was like, it's really worth it because it's not very expensive, and like it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to pay like $20 a month for like something that doesn't offer as much value as Netflix, even though you're like supporting an independent company and et cetera, et cetera. But I believe it's like really affordable. So anyway, but ironically, probably didn't succeed then, but potentially depending on like if they were like, we're going to, and maybe Critical Role is like kept behind a paywall. There is paywall content. I imagine there's some type of Patreon situation going on, but I imagine if you wanted to be like, we're putting another full campaign with like special guests on like behind a paywall, people would pay for that if they wanted to.
Critical Role, yeah, it is owned by the like participants, like it's player owned, which is obviously really cool. And the streaming service I mentioned, the Legendary eventually shut down their YouTube / online video efforts because there is no money to be made there. So like many of our corporate acquisitions of early YouTube stuff, it is a complete write-off for the company. And Critical Role do split eventually and just self-publish their content. And Geek and Sundry sort of just enters into decline because that really was the moneymaker or the thing that drew the most views. And that leaves us, yeah, like you mentioned, Critical Role, 4th campaign is forthcoming. It's super successful. And I watched some of it this morning just to get a sense of the vibe. Yeah, because like, you know, there are many ways that you can present D&D. Community, again, has a Dungeons and Dragon episode, which is one of the best episodes. Guys probably can't watch it because it does feature it does feature but not endorse blackface. Thus has been deemed too controversial to be on public streaming platforms. But yeah, I think that is like super enjoyable, but it's a case where it's not actually improv, like it's scripted presentation of D&D in a scripted format. But yeah, the Critical Role format, it's like you have all your characters up on the screen as talking heads and your DM on the left, and they play for many hours. This is the thing that shocked me. To consume Critical Role, it is like one campaign. It was looking like one campaign. You would be investing hundreds of hours.
Yeah. You know, Austin Walker, another video game journalist we like, he had a...
Friends of the Table, yeah.
Friends
it's
of the
very
Table.
Popular, yeah.
And I tried to get into it, and I thought it was good, but the problem is that I was listening to it as a podcast, but each episode was like 2 hours long.
Yep.
And there was like 100 episodes, and I was like, it's one of those things where you really have to embark on it. So it's kind of like people now, because of the new Critical Role season, I saw people in like TikTok comments and stuff being like, how do I start? Where do I get into it? Like, how do I prep for this? And there were all these different like abridged guides or like where to start, or you know what I mean? So yeah, it is definitely an investment, but that is what builds like an incredibly like parasocial and engaged fandom.
Yeah.
Because you spend hundreds of hours with these people.
I know. I appreciate
you just it's not for you.
the fact that like Austin, one of my favorite, my Mount Rushmore podcast guys. The fact that he
Shout out Austin Walker, we love you so much.
The fact that he hosts a D&D podcast that I have no interest in listening to kind of speaks to. I'm just resistant to like spending that much time watching someone else's game. It's the same as like I don't really watch Twitch streams. I really watch a lot of like YouTube Let's Plays. I am just like, why am I watching someone play something when I could do it myself?
Yeah, but most people don't. Although I'm sure that the show has inspired a lot of people to start a D&D group with their friends.
Yeah,
like, I think
that's
it's really
cool.
Anyway, I feel sorry to Felicia Day. I feel like we've strayed far away from. Look, this episode was a combined Felicia Day and the Guild episode.
We had to tick off, guys. We had to tick off 2 formats of video. Well, 3 actually. The web series, the playing D&D actual play with your friends YouTube thing, because it's huge, and the playing the board game live. So we sort of backdoored our way into doing these 3 things. But good thing you mentioned Felicia, because she actually is now a Twitch streamer herself.
The classic move. I mean, look.
She actually always was a gamer, though.
Yeah,
so
it
more of a
makes
natural
sense for
fit.
her to be a Twitch streamer. She did upload. She does also have her own YouTube channel, just a Felicia Day YouTube channel, where she did some vlogs and also some. I think she had a series called Felicia Plays with Herself, where she does like your classic YouTube gaming style videos, like pre-Twitch, where instead of doing a stream, you're just like doing an edited cut down of you playing a game.
Yeah, she has heaps of followers on like her IG. She's got 2 million followers. The YouTube, even though it's pretty inactive, has a bunch of followers.
Yeah.
The Twitch has, I think, 250k followers.
Yes.
So she has a huge web presence, even if she is like less active than many of our, full-time YouTubers. But she sold a company to Legendary, so maybe she's doing okay,
I assume so. And she's still, if you look on her Wikipedia page, she's still doing like plenty of acting roles, voice acting. Like she's still really active in like, I guess, a more traditional mainstream career. So she's more similar to some of the YouTube like people that we've talked, like Lonely Island or something, where YouTube has been a really effective tool for her to like launch or propel other areas of her career.
Yeah, like she's written books. She had a kid.
Her
she's
costume
busy,
from the Guild is in the American History Museum in Washington, D.C., which I think we went to. Did we go to that museum?
I don't remember. We did, but I don't remember seeing it.
I feel like, because there was that
Oh,
section.
actually, I feel like yes. Is it green?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I think we would have seen it because we went through, like, it's not a huge museum. It's pretty tightly curated, which I actually liked because you can kind of like do the whole thing. Shout out to the museums in DC. They rocked. They got that big government money and the private celebrity money, like all the Oprah money in those museums.
Yeah, DC definitely underrated in terms of American travel destinations.
Us just now talking about our American trip that we took. Was it last year?
It wasn't. No. Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Last year. Yeah.
So long ago, but actually not that long ago at all. We went, yeah.
It was research for this podcast because we had to see this costume.
We had to see the Felicia Day costume from the Guild at the American History Museum. But it was there, and the museum actually reached out to her because I will say some of the things that you see in this museum, you're like, why is this here? And it's like donated by production company or celebrity X. Like they're clearly like, do you guys want this? And they're like, I guess.
A lot of donated by Oprah Winfrey in the museum stretch in DC, which shout out Oprah.
Shout out to Oprah. I
Maybe
love bread.
the best
I eat it every day. Hey, billionaire ranking coming soon. But they actually reached out to Felicia because they were like, you're a person who created, like pioneered early web series Like, it was one of the first web series to, take off and be really popular and be recognized. And you're a female creator in a mostly male-dominated niche or space. So that's really cool. Felicia Day, nerd baddie.
Nerd baddie. Okay.
Okay, Diva.
Overall, Felicia Day, I think that not a surprise to, like you mentioned, say, credit her with her role, as a pioneer in a male-dominated sphere. She, produced a very popular web series. She has a bunch of acting work. She created a channel that would go on to, popularize 2 different formats of like nerd video. I think that there is not much more to say than like she has a super prominent legacy on YouTube and on Twitch, even if it's not immediately apparent that she had this role, but you can sort of credit her role in starting Geek and Sundry and popularizing stuff in the guild. Like she has enormous influence, and that's why we did an episode.
Very, very domino effect. Like, she made the guild, and then that resulted in like Critical Role, and that becoming like literally one of the biggest, most popular formats like to exist on YouTube, and then obviously outside of it. ND20, which I did actually check, I googled it. It is a dropout show. So, and that also had live shows here. I saw many people on my Instagram stories going, and there was a big crowd in Sydney. Huge. You couldn't get tickets. It was sold out.
Respect. Like, I don't know what to say. It's the same as
maybe we should do D&D.
Yeah.
Would you try it? Would you do a one shot?
I would try it. Yeah. But it's the time commitment.
We have friends who do D&D.
It's when people are like, oh yeah, I'm like up to date on like Naruto, and I'm like, sorry, and they're like, yeah, I've watched 700 episodes of this show.
We can do a one shot. We have friends who do it.
It's the same as learning. It's the same as learning a board game for the first time.
No.
Fun until
it's
you know
way
the rules.
easier. It's actually so much easier than some of the board games you play.
Yeah, look,
learn it in like
invite me. I'm not going to say no.
Okay, guys, invite us.
Guys, I'll see you at Fortress.
See you at Fortress for our inaugural D&D one shot campaign. A Rewind Time production.
Okay, that is Rewind Time Felicia Day
/ the Guild
/ Geek and Sundry
/
although
board
Critical
game.
Role probably could get their own episode later on. I don't think.
Well, I mean, let's see. Let's see the life of this podcast. You never know. Maybe we'll get acquired by...
Covering it would be so difficult.
I mean, I've been thinking about this with some future episodes. Like, I think about some of my favorite creators who are like video essay creators. Like, I love Jenny Nicholson. We'll do a Jenny Nicholson episode. But you can't really cover her unless you watch like several hours of content.
Yeah. I mean, at least that content's good, so it's more enjoyable.
So
anyway,
mean.
that is the Felicia Day, as you mentioned, blah 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 episode. At the end of each week, I ask what you're subscribing to.
What are you subscribing to, Max?
I'm subscribing to Barbarian, which is a 2022 film directed by Zach Kreger. I want to say his name is. He just directed Weapons, which is like the horror film of the moment. And I hadn't seen Barbarian, but I know it had sort of positive reception at the time. And Weapons has since come out and got even more positive reception. So I wanted to join the Zach train. And you are not someone who watches horror movies. So on Friday, you were at an event for Coca-Cola. So I watched I watched Barbarian by myself here and enjoyed it quite a lot. Like, the format, like the structure of the film is really interesting, and it's like technically really impressive considering like it's quite low budget, like it's a debut film. My only beef would be like, without spoilers, the main sort of the main monster is a bit by the numbers. Like, it's just a kind of a spooky baddie type that you've seen in other sort of horror films, but they are deployed, effectively. Like, they're, they run after you and it's scary, so it's fine. But the overall film itself, like, the score is really cool. The direction in the house is really like interesting. So it was like a solid like 7 out of 10 sort of thing. So I'm really keen to see weapons when that comes out on streaming.
Wow.
What are you subscribing to?
This week, I am subscribing to the TikTok algorithm.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to think about, like, because, okay, every week when we do what we're subscribing to, I try to think of, like, the highlight of the week, and I feel like everyone needs to just indulge me for a moment, because obviously I think it's relevant to the podcast.
Yeah, please tell us.
Well,
what about the algorithm?
So, everyone, I mean, okay, what does virality even mean these days? Like, what would you consider a viral piece of content? Because it's like, I feel like it loses all meaning.
Viral? I think if you're topping 450,000 views, that's
okay,
viral.
That's really specific.
Yeah, I just pulled a number.
Okay. I think
Shorts kind of cooks that though, because Shorts views are so high.
Yeah.
Which maybe it is because everyone just be watching TikTok.
Yeah.
But it does seem like the views are juiced.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't know. But essentially, I published a TikTok this week and it has over 3 million views, which is like the most views on any individual piece of content I've ever made. I would say that's...
Congratulations.
And and it's been cool. I'm really lucky in that, like, literally 99.9% of the comments have been really positive. I have a mostly female audience. And
Can you tell us what it is?
Oh,
the TikTok?
So the video is about me trying on some dresses from a brand called House of CB. It's kind of it. We were talking the other day about trying to figure out, like, what about this video made it do really well compared to, like, other pieces of content I've made. I think I have some ideas for how it did well. If anyone's listening to this podcast for the first time, and you don't know, hi, I'm Lucy, and I'm a content creator as part of my job. That is kind of how the premise of this show started. Primarily a YouTuber, but I obviously do Instagram and TikTok as well, because you kind of have to if you are a creator online and you would like to make it part of your living. So yeah, I posted this video and it got 3-something million views. I think it might be higher than that now. But I gained quite a few thousand followers on TikTok. I hit 10K, which was like a milestone I've been looking to hit for a while, and I've surpassed that now. It's at like 12K, something like that. Nothing, I guess not super crazy in the big scheme of things, but as someone who has been creating content online for a really long time, it is always a nice feeling to see a piece of content do well and then people receive that really well. And I got a really nice comment. I got a lot of nice comments of people just being like, haha, funny, or like, oh, I liked this dress, just interacting with the content. But in particular, I got a comment from someone who has been subscribed to me on YouTube. They said for several years they've been watching my YouTube videos and they hadn't seen my TikTok content before. And they basically were like, oh, I have been watching you for a really long time and I'm so happy that you've had like this piece of content go viral. Their words, not mine. And like, basically they were just being like, I'm really happy to see you, like recognized or successful. And I thought that was such a sweet comment. I like screenshotted it and saved it.
Very YouTube brained of you to credit not your own content creation prowess for your success, but the mythical algorithm.
Well, sometimes you make things and you're like, you think about how, I'm going to structure it like this and I'm going to do this and this and this. And you do all of that and it just doesn't hit. It just doesn't take off. And you're like, okay. And then sometimes you make things in like a minute and it does really well. And I've had that happen to me before. I've made like silly videos and they get like a couple 100,000 views and everyone's like, ha ha ha, because it's like a silly, easy joke or something relatable. But yeah, this was a bit more of a piece of content that's like, I feel like true to like what I typically do online. So it's like nice to have people be into that because it's like I make that kind of content already. Does that make sense? Rather than it being like a one-off like random thing. So I don't know. I'm just feeling very grateful because someone actually at that event I went to was talking about when you're on TikTok, because it's an algorithm-based platform as opposed to like some other platforms like Instagram or YouTube, which are like the algorithm is depending on like who you follow. Whereas like TikTok, you're on For You page, you don't have to follow those people. It's entirely algorithm focused. Every piece of content you post is like buying a ticket to the lottery. And so to try and encourage you, like you should just post because you never know what's going to be the one that will be the jackpot essentially. So I went to that event and they were talking about that, and that was like the same day that the night before I'd posted that video. So as I was sitting at that event, that video was racking up like,
You're like, guys, you're sitting with a lottery winner.
no, but it's like, it's so true, because sometimes you can become disillusioned or like feel like, okay, I'm trying really hard and it's not taking off. And is it because it's like not good? But it's like, sometimes it's just like, you know, the wind blows in the right direction and you know, I don't know. I'm just really grateful that like a bunch of people have like found my content and have been like, I want to stick around. I want to see more.
And if you want to see more Lucy living, you should subscribe to her. Subscribe to her YouTube channel.
Thanks.
And follow her on TikTok and Instagram.
I did use some of the additional views from the like I was obviously getting more people visiting my profile, so I was like reposting clips from our Rewind Time account to try and get them in people's algorithms. And we got a couple of new followers, subscribers
Shout out to new followers of the pod
on Rewind Time. So anyway,
cool.
I'm just always thankful for
Wow. Thanks, guys. All right.
We should say
if you have any thoughts or have any comments you would like to make about Felicia Day or Critical Role or D&D generally or Will Wheaton or The Big Bang Theory or Community or the AV Club, please do them on Spotify or on YouTube. We will be back with another episode of Rewind Time next week.
And if you would like to help purchase tickets to Rewind Time's lottery in terms of getting other people to discover the magic of Rewind Time and YouTube history, then please rate us on Spotify. That is the number one.
Or Apple Podcasts, or like the video on YouTube.
No, you got to give people one clear direction.
Okay.
Let's make a concerted effort for Spotify.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So everyone, please rate us on Spotify. If you have been enjoying the podcast, because it really helps us out and gets other people to discover the podcast. We've seen a few comments and things come in from people who have discovered us from your ratings and reviews. So please do that. That would be really, really nice. If you don't mind, if you're not busy, just press that button. It's really nice. Appreciate it.
Sweet. That's it for this week's episode. Bye.
Bye.
Ah, oh, that's hot. That's hot.